today doing a video that I filmed yesterday, but it wouldn't upload, so I'm refilming it, and it is the Child's Play remake review. Okay, first off is the non-spoiler part. I really enjoyed the movie, like absolutely really enjoyed it. Oh, I'm gonna take this off because I feel like it'll make a better video because you'll be able to see my face more. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, surprisingly so, because if you don't know, like, the original is in my top 10 favourite horror films of all time at the very least, maybe even #1. Yeah, it was surprisingly good, yeah. The opening was brilliant, the ending is brilliant without getting into too much detail. There are parts of it I don't like the doll didn't look great, and, you know, sometimes it was, you know, some of the jokes don't land as well as they should do, but all in all though, I enjoyed the movie, it was fun, you know, I don't regret spending the money on the ticket, and I had a good time. I mean, maybe it's there because maybe that's slightly biased because I was watching it with my brother and we were laughing and making jokes with each other and stuff whilst watching it, so maybe that's a little bit of a bias, but I enjoyed the movie, I generally did. It was surprisingly good. If you saw on my Twitter, I tweeted that. Whilst we're at it, I forgot to do it at the beginning of the video actually. Shout out to my friend Kim. Yeah, I know you'll be watching this review, you're waiting for it to come out because you're hoping to go and see the film Thursday, aren't you? Trust me, you're going to enjoy it. And shout out to Jimmy Champagne as well. Massive YouTuber. Me and him were having a conversation the other day about it. Yeah, and we both agree that it's surprisingly good. Yeah, we got into the conversation about it, and it as well actually, surprisingly enough, and Pet Sematary remake. Yeah, it was a good conversation actually. I'm glad that we had it, especially yeah, it was a very interesting conversation. Yeah, sorry, I sound like I'm joking now. Oh shit. Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Like I said, if I had to rate it, I'd give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. I really would. It was a very decent film. Anybody who knows that I gave the OG one a 10 out of 10 the last time I reviewed it, and I think that holds less true. I think that nowadays I'd probably give it a 9.5 because while there's a slight bit of the film that doesn't hold well with me on, you know, after an initial viewing and then viewing it again later in my lifetime, because when I first reviewed it on the internet all them years ago, it had been years before I'd seen the film, and I remember them being good, so I'd asked my dad to get me the whole collection for my birthday, and on rewatching it, it was like, it's still good, but it's a bit slower when you're not watching it as a kid, the OG one, but still a great film, an absolute classic if you ask me. Now onto the spoiler part, so that actually right now we want to stay a bit more for the non-spoilers, so that we're not just like people who haven't seen it yet or can only see like 2 minutes of the review or something. Yeah, the kills are very graphic. I like the kills a lot. The Mark Hamill as Chucky, like I said, you know, I enjoyed it, but it was a little robotic, but it probably should have been because he was playing a robot. Sorry, I'm just having a drink of tea, that's all. Yeah, it was robotic, but like I said, it's how else do you play it though when you're playing a robot? I think that's all I have to say on the spoiler part. Now we're getting into the spoiler part of the review, and just as it is a spoiler half, I'm just going to keep saying it so, you know, nobody blames me if I spoil the film for him. And this part here, I'm going to break down the movie from scene by scene, and I was going to compare the openings to the OG one, but I'm doing a separate video later on today about that. Yeah, the opening opens up with the Caslin trailer, which anybody who knows, I don't know if I tweeted about it or not, but I probably should have done. The opening is phenomenal. I'm not going to lie, the opening is phenomenal. The Caslin trailer for the Buddy is phenomenal. It absolutely sets up the tone that Caslin is like the Apple of this world. It absolutely shows all these smart products that everybody owns, you know, these, and then now this Buddy connects to it, it sets it up, like, you know, I really enjoyed the bit where the newborn child gets the Buddy, implying that, you know, that these toys that you have from birth and help you with the technology and shit over the time. Sorry if I'm saying a lot, because I'm just trying to explain what's in my head about this intro, because it's brilliant. Like, it paints this picture of this wholesome, family-friendly company, then cuts to Vietnam with the sweatshop making the dolls. Brilliant. Artistic. There's nothing else I can say about it. It was artistic, it was phenomenal, it was brilliant. I love the contrast of, we are a family company, and then the beating the workers in the fucking sweatshop at the beginning. Brilliant. Brilliant contrast. Shows the sleazy, sorry, I almost said skeezy then, what the fuck's a skeezy? Sleazy underbelly of the company. Fucking love it. The worker is being slapped and stuff by his boss. Not exactly what I was expecting when I heard it was a worker being abused. If I'm honest, I thought it was going to be a female worker being sexually abused by the boss without anybody knowing, you know, around back and that. And I was like, and you know, it'd be a bit more of a motivation to create a killer doll than you were slapped a few times. I mean, like, maybe it's the way that the acting's done, but it felt too playful to be worth creating a killer doll that was going to be given to children, but maybe it's just the way it was acted, and it was meant to be way more abusive looking than it came out, but it seemed like a bit of an overreaction to create a killer doll because of that. Right, next we're getting on to the next bit of the film, which I believe introduces us to Andy, but now I'm not actually sure. Yeah, it does. We open up then with the mother and Andy, the mother being played by Aubrey Plaza and Andy being played by Gabriel Bateman, unpacking into their new home. You know, the banter between them two, I've already explained I wasn't a big fan of. It seemed too brother and sister for somebody who's literally his mum, but then again, though, at the same time, though, you could make the argument that his mum's meant to be, you know, super young. She had him when she was 16, you know, so she's still quite young, you know what I mean, so maybe that's why it's like that. And, you know, I personally think that it doesn't make much of a difference, if I'm honest, because, you know, if you have kids, you tend to grow up a bit quicker if you have a kid from a young age, is what I've found, so I really don't buy it as much as I wanted to. Maybe that's just my mum, because my mum had me when she was quite young as well. I mean, not 16 young, 18 young, but, you know, maybe that's just thingy, but I didn't buy it as much as I'd like to. I didn't buy into it as much as I wanted to. Yeah, but sorry if I'm rocking a bit, I'm just trying to get the point across. But I didn't buy the relationship as much as I'd like to have done. Andy obviously very pissed off that he's had to move from his old house to new one, you know, is struggling to make friends, the usual. Then we see Andy sat in the hall and introduces us to one of the best characters in the film, Detective Mike Norris. I can't remember who plays him. I know it's Thierry on something, I think. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Don't quote me on that because I might be wrong. But I think that's right. And he instantly shows he can make chemistry with anybody. Him and Andy get talking. You meet his mother, who is another hilarious character in the film. Yeah, and you then instantly realise that the Detective Mike Norris character's flaw is a bit too nice, maybe, because he lets his mum bully him and all of that shit, and then But you can deep down tell, though, that his mum still loves him, and that he still loves his mother, which is proven later on in the film how much he loves his mum. Spoilers, because, you know, it's a spoiler review anyway, so, you know, you're going to get a spoiler. Then we're introduced to the most hated character in the film, but it's kind of intended. Andy's prick of a stepfather. Fucking brilliant character. But he seems, first off, he doesn't seem like a prick. He's boning Andy's mum, you know, Andy didn't like it, but it's just like, whatever. It's like, you know, grown-ups have sex until you realise this prick has a family. It's fucking brilliant. And then the Chucky kill is the best part about it, because we grew up watching horrors with prick characters like this, and they always get suitable upcomings, and I feel it was no different here. Chucky pushes him off a ladder, breaks both of his fucking legs violently. Oof. What a kill. Then cuts his fucking head off with a Caslin mower. Like, as much as the OG Child's Play is the better film, these kills are fucking phenomenal. You can tell they were made by the people who made it. Like, there's also a downside to that too. It just seemed like it with a doll, not going to lie. But the kills are fucking brilliant. Especially that first one. Puts the face of Andy's stepdad on a melon and gives it to Andy as a present. Phenomenal. It's a phenomenal intro kill. Like, because there's an argument to be made that the first kill is the one that's going to have the lasting impact on you, and it does. Whilst the head looks fake later on, when it's being projected onto the TV, you know, we'll get to that bit in a bit. At the beginning, when it's up close, it looks a bit realer. I think that they maybe use a less real one for the projection, because they didn't think people would see it as well as they, you know, as they do when it's on the cabinet. But the effects were decent, yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, not a fan of the doll's look, but except from when it's in killer mode, for some reason it seems to change its look in killer mode, and I don't mind it. It's a bit Ready Player One, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible at all. Then, after, oh yeah, the cat was killed first, but I don't count that. That kill's not brilliant, it's off screen, etc, etc. And then after it's killed that, what's it called? Him and his new friends, I guess I've skipped the bit where he meets the friends, you know, they make a few jokes about his mum being hot and that, you know, because Aubrey Plaza's fucking... But, yeah, that's all I'll say. Yeah, they go to throw the head away and end up being forced into giving the head to Detective Mike Norris's mum. You know, brilliant. Again, another funny scene, you know. Gets rid of the head, yeah. Phenomenal. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Sorry if I sound tired, I've just woken up. I had a Red Bull and that before the video to try and help with the thingy, but unfortunately it's not doing much help. Fuck. I'm getting a bit... Yeah. But the storytelling is really good in the film. It is actually really good. And then we get to the second Chucky kill, because Chucky's just been thrown away as well. And then the best character in the film comes in. Like, we don't know who plays him. Like, my brother's convinced it's Jack Black who plays him, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm going to have to confirm or deny that. I'll confirm or deny it later on Twitter. Is the perv, or somebody in the comments going to tell me it's not, Jack Black is the pervert in his Caslin hub masturbating to Andy's mum because he has him on the because he has her on the fucking camera. That is just perfect way to cast a perv. This guy seems like an out and out prick. So his kill is again a pretty gory one. Chucky uses the smart hub so he can get a few stabs in his chest and in his leg and that, and then he climbs up on the table saw to get out of the way of Chucky, and then Chucky turns the table saw on and starts tipping it, so he holds on to the radiator to stop it, and then Chucky uses his Caslin control to turn the radiator up to 200 degrees to scald his hand so he falls onto the saw blade, cutting him in half from groin to fucking chin. Brilliant. Just see like half of his leg fall down onto the floor. Phenomenal. And then the blood splatter on the wall. Like, they didn't need to show too much with that. That one little glimpse you catch of his leg hitting the floor is brilliant. I didn't even notice it until the second viewing, because at first I thought it was going to be on one of my weaker kills of the movie list, but, you know, that little leg drop that I missed made it for me. It's like, you know, it's like this kill doesn't need to be too gory. You've seen it done, like, you know, 1,000 times. You know what we're on about, you know. Yeah, what else was I going to say now, because my mind's kind of slipping. Fuck. Then, Omar, another character, apparently a key character, didn't really come in until now, gets hold of the Chucky doll that's been reprogrammed. Yeah, and then that Chucky doll's mad that Andy is now mad that Andy won't be his friend, so he starts trying to get Andy arrested for the murder of his stepdad. So, yeah. Then we get to this really interesting point when we see Detective Mike Norris's mum going to bingo, and this is where the next kill comes in. She orders a Caslin car, and Chucky's pissed off because he overhears her saying that Andy's her new best friend, right, yeah? Not understanding it being an AI robot and that, he thinks she's literally trying to take Chucky away from him, right, yeah? So he decides to give her a brutal kill, crashes the car and that, and then you don't see how she dies, but then when Detective Mike Norris finds his mum with a blade sticking out of her chest and then there's nothing else, poor blood around her, you know what happened. And whilst it's one of the weaker kills, it's still funny because of the lines that the Chucky doll's delivering while it's doing it. By the way, when Chucky's stabbing the prick of a stepfather at the beginning, this is for Tupac line really gets to me. You know, I really like that. It's quite entertaining. Fuck, my mind's slipping. Then, after the kill of Mike Norris's mum, we cut to them finding the prick of a stepfather's head in a dustbin, wrapped up, and then Mike Norris leads Mike Norris to thinking that Andy's the killer and arrests Andy because of obviously Andy giving his mum the thingy. You know, there's a whole scene explaining it and that. Then we get to the ending, which is phenomenal, which is Chucky uploading himself to all the Buddy 2s and causing a massacre at the shop where Andy's mum works, killing hundreds of people with some great kills, almost killing Andy. Then we cut to Andy finding his mother. Andy in a noose ready to be hung by Chucky. Andy just stops his mum from being hung. Yeah, surprised more didn't happen to his mum since she literally hits the fucking floor from almost at the top of the noose. You know, you think she'd at least break a leg or something. Maybe she does, because carried away in the stretcher at the end, so she might have done. But oh no, she definitely hasn't, because then we get the big Chucky and Andy fight that everybody wanted in the OG series for years, and we get it right in the first Child's Play remake. Brilliant, you know. Andy's about to kill Chucky. Chucky uses mind games to pretend that he's still his kid, and that, you know, to pretend that he's like still his best friend and that. Andy stabs the AI core out of him. We think it's all over, then Chucky springs back to life. Mike Norris shoots him, who we already thought was dead, because he gets hit by a bladed drone earlier. But it turns out he's still alive, still kicking. I was like, when that happened, I was like, shit, they kill off Mike Norris in the film, in the first Child's Play. I was like, it didn't happen in the original, and I was like, and he's a key character, but no, they don't kill him off. He comes back at the end, shoots the doll. Then the doll comes back again, and Andy's mum rips its head off. The movie ends with the kids beating up the doll, and Andy's mum and Detective Norris being taken away on stretchers holding hands. And then it sort of leads to a sequel by The Caslin claiming that they take no responsibility for the massacre, but just to be safer recalling all Buddy 2s. Then you see a shipment of Buddy 1s being coming, and then one of them's eyes goes red, showing that Chucky's just uploaded himself into another Chucky doll, meaning that we might get a Child's Play 2 from a Child's Play 2 remake very soon. I wonder how close this... Yeah,